Ontario marijuana producer says that many Canadian workplaces aren't ready for legalization. Now, Ottawa is still ironing out the details, but according to the VP of HR for MedRelief, so apparently are employers as well. Jason Fleming points to a lack of definitive testing, and he says many employers have not educated staff on new policies. Speaking from the World Cannabis Congress in New Brunswick this week, he says urine and saliva tests can detect THC, but that doesn't indicate active impairment, as it can take between 24 and 48 hours for THC to clear the system. Now, marijuana is expected to be legal across Canada this fall, so we decided to see if those responsible for getting you from point A to point B are prepared. First up, the TTC. It brought in randomized testing 1 year ago.
For drugs, it's an oral fluid sample that we take. That is not an immediate test result. That takes 3 days to come back. The oral fluid technology that we use, we believe is extremely accurate. The science is proven. It takes 3 days, though, to come back. Our threshold is 10 nanograms for oral fluid. That's not blood. That's oral fluid, and we feel that will give us a result that is likely impairment. What's going to change with cannabis being legalized is nothing, because we still have that policy that you can't come to work impaired. What you do on your own time is none of our business, but you can't come to work drunk, and you can't come to work stoned.
In the year the TTC has been testing, 44 employees have tested positive for drugs or alcohol. Marijuana made up the largest portion of positive tests, 21 out of 44. The union unsuccessfully tried to get an injunction to stop the testing, but it's still in arbitration. For Metrolinx, however, randomized testing is still considered illegal, but they say it can do post-incident testing on top of its current education programs.
We will be adding in the legalization just to keep people informed that it doesn't really change anything according to our policies. It's perhaps legalization is in effect, but it doesn't really change anything.
In terms of, have you set a threshold in terms of impairment, and will you eventually be moving to something like randomized testing like the TTC?
We're looking at the randomized testing for operators, so that's something we're monitoring. Right now, it's actually illegal to do that, but TTC has a test case there, and so we're monitoring that, the results of it, and to see where we'll go from there.
And coming up, we ask employment lawyer Howard Leverett what all employees need to do in advance of legalization this fall. As we told you at the top of the hour, there are concerns that a majority of Canadian workplaces aren't prepared for marijuana legalization this fall. Things like the proper procedures and testing aren't in place yet. Well, according to a top employment lawyer, those things may not be needed in the eyes of the law.
I think there's really no onus. I think the fact is they already have rules. They have rules against drinking and being intoxicated in the workplace, and nothing changes. People have this misapprehension that because marijuana is legal, all of a sudden people can smoke up or come into work intoxicated. Alcohol is legal, but people can't come into work drunk. Nothing's different, and not even medical marijuana is different.
But in terms of alcohol, we have widely accepted figures of what is the level of impairment. Does that exist for marijuana, and is it up to the employer to have in their policy 0.07 is the impairment level for us, and that's, that could be a fireable offense? Well,
the problem is you're never really going to know, because there's no testing that's allowed either for alcohol or drugs in almost 98% of Canadian workplaces. So the rule is going to be, just as it is with drinking, you can't come to work intoxicated. Employers are not going to have to go through the silly niceties of saying, well, I think it's 0.07, not 0.06 or 0.08. They can just say, we're not going to have any of it. You're not going to smoke marijuana in our workplace, and that will be enforceable by a court.
And he adds that a witness alone is enough to get a person terminated for using alcohol or drugs in the workplace.